Mm-mm. I just have to do all this stuff here. What was this? Oh, Kevin. What was that? Right. That's great. And what was this? Yeah. Great. This goes. Trails go. Okay, this goes. Right, right. 27. Or not spring. Okay. I got you. Yeah, I did, but I can't.
Surprise! Oh, stay seated. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Seattle. My name is Jan Levy, and I'm your past president. See, they don't even have my stool anymore, so you can't quite see me, but welcome to everyone. Today is our annual Seafair meeting, one of the favorites of the club. Thank you to you guys. They are the Navy Woodwind Quintet, and do not try to say that too many times fast. Guys and gals. Hi, gal. I believe that we are going to have Josh Lieberman to lead us in song. Is that right?
Won't lead, but
We're going to sing the national.
we can sing along with the Navy.
Okay. How about we all stand to sing the national anthem accompanied by the Navy Quintet? You're starting up. Oh. Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we in the twilight's last gleam, broad stripes and bright stars. Swimming and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in that our flag was still there. Signals outside and that way. Please be seated. I don't know about the rest of you. My favorite Seafair memory was being knighted or whatever they did to me last year at this meeting. So that was pretty fun. So thank you to the Woodwind Quintet one more time. And please welcome John Steckler, President John. At our last meeting, I told you that one of the things I learned was that the past presidents will always have your back. And this is my proof of that. And we are going to welcome up Jimmy Collins, and he will introduce Emily Cantrell for us. And John, the podium is yours.
While Emily's joining me, I'll say that I rode the train into Seattle this morning with a bunch of Mariners fans, and so I felt like it's about time. The game starts at 12:40. What do you think? Huh? Good stuff, huh? All right, good. So, good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. It's my privilege to introduce you today to Emily Cantrell, and Emily's uh, uh, club directory photo is on the screen. Emily's attended several of our meetings in the past, including when she was a guest speaker during her time as Chief Operating Officer at Prevail. So, Emily, welcome now as a member. Emily's been leading the Seafair Charitable Foundation as the Chief Executive Officer since September of 2024. The Seafair organization produces the annual Seafair Festival and other year-round events. One of the new ones this year was the Seafair Winter by the Water, held on our newly renovated waterfront. And I have reports that it was very well received, and I think got many of our community members acquainted with that space. That was in February. But enough about the Seafair organization. Just for the next couple of moments, I want to be sure you're acquainted with Emily as our fellow member. Emily was born in Dallas, Texas, grew up in Alaska and Germany. She has one older sister who now works for Pierce County. Emily's roots were developed in Washington. During our table talk, she told about her favorite memory was the first time she'd seen a hydroplane when she was 12. So she's been around Seafair for a while as an observer and now as an important leader. So the next photo will help introduce you to Emily's educational background. She went to school here in Washington since middle school, but for her MBA, she found and was admitted to a program that's jointly sponsored by Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island, and the Spanish University in Madrid that's offering an international executive business school degree. That degree program ties Brown's focus on humanities and the social sciences with one of Europe's top business schools. Now, not surprisingly, Emily has loved travel and admires the global perspective provided through trade and travel. And I can tell you, based on my knowledge of Emily, her interests align well with the 7 focus areas of Rotary International. Emily has a number of outside work interests, including the World Trade Center in Seattle and the International Women's Forum. She's a past board member for the IWF, and she enjoys learning from the 8,000 leaders across the globe who have a goal of empowering female leaders. Next slide, please. And so, with full disclosure, you should know that Emily enjoys boxing. Now, there's no need to fear her, but you should know that this is a feature that balances her great smile. Back to her current day job as CEO, the Seafair family of activities is entering its 77th year. I guess really in the middle of the 77th year now. Emily and her staff guide more than 1,000 volunteers conducting parades, events, and a world-class air show featuring the U.S. Navy's Blue Angels. CS, oh, for sure. Seafair continues to offer year-round entertainment and experiences to our regional audience. Staff and board members are preparing for the upcoming Torchlight Run and Parade along Alaskan Way. This will be the second iteration of that, and I'm told that some of the lessons learned from last year have been worked on. So it'll be new and improved, I'm sure. That'll be this Saturday, July 25th. So please join me in a hearty welcome to the Rotary Club of Seattle for Emily Cantrell. And now, Emily, the podium is yours.
All right, that was a lot about me. Thank you, Jimmy. Let's talk about Seafair now. Can you go to the first slide? Okay, perfect. So thank you all for having us today. We're excited to be here. A little bit about how we started. It seems like everyone has a different story about how Seafair started, but very high level, my understanding is Seattle wanted to have a centennial celebration that would have happened in 1951. And the festival director that was hired from St. Paul, Minnesota, who was brought out here to start planning it, fell in love with the idea of it, couldn't wait. And so he started to plan a 10-day festival for 1950. And that is how the amphitheater at Green Lake was built. There were the aqua follies, synchronized swimming, diving, Fleet Week, the Torchlight Parade. So it all started back in 1950, and it's evolved ever since. We are a 501c3. I think that's the biggest misconception. A lot of people don't realize that we are a nonprofit. We could not do what we do without our 1,000 volunteers that work with us year round, 5 family groups, the parade marshals, boat club, pirates, clowns, and commodores. You'll hear from Vicki from our parade marshals after me. We are all about providing inclusive and accessible fun. Every single thing we do has a free component to it. And we reach about 2 million people per year. That's at our events, through our broadcasts, at our community events. And while we're known as being one of Seattle's most iconic summer traditions, we're also working to have a year-round presence. So a little bit about what we've done since last summer. We threw a little parade downtown for our Seahawks, a few 100,000 of our closest friends. We hosted our first large-scale winter event, which Jimmy mentioned, Winter by the Water. This was a passport-style adventure that happened all along Alaskan Way, about a mile long. People got to stop into businesses. We had an umbrella dance. We had a vendor marketplace featuring small, diverse business owners, and BECU was a sponsor of that. We had the Champions of Change featuring 3 former Seahawks players come out, and they challenged the public to pickleball. Michael Bennett is ruthless. Doesn't matter how old you are, he will take you out, even if you are a child. We had Mayor Wilson and John Scholes from the DSA with us. We had Queen Alcyone help knight John Scholes, and then we ended with a little concert after party. So it was a blast. We plan on doing this again next year, but making it a month-long passport adventure that ends with one fun night, because that was a lot for one day. This summer, we had our kickoff on Monday, June 1st. It was held a little earlier this year because of the World Cup. Typically, it's on the first day of summer. We turned over the crowns to our new royalty. Bukta Gesar and Sydney Rice, our new queen and king. Our community hero is Abu Bakr Abdul Qadir. Thank you, Chief Queen, as I call you, for everything that you've done for Seafair. You're still showing up. We had 4th of July, which was incredible. Packed house at both Gasworks Park and Lake Union Park. About 25,000 people at Gasworks Park. We had about 10,000 more at Lake Union Park, and the biggest fireworks show we've ever had in honor of our country's 250th birthday. We took up more of the sky than we ever have. If anyone saw it, I think you would agree. The triathlon was on Sunday, and we had record registration there, about 2,000 people. And now we are in the middle of Seattle Fleet Week and Boeing Maritime Celebration. We had the parade of ships yesterday at Pier 62. These are photos from last year because my slides were due before the parade of ships happened, but that's a little glimpse of what it looked like at Pier 62. And while we have fewer sailors in this year, typically they're out and about in the community, working at food banks, volunteering, picking up litter from parks. So a lot of people don't realize all of these community projects that they do while they're in town. Coming up this weekend, and Vicki will talk more about it, but it's Torchlight Night. We have a 5K Torchlight run that Kaiser Permanente sponsors, and then the Alaska Airlines Seafair Torchlight Parade. Last year, I remember doing mini presentations saying, imagine this waterfront, we're going to have a parade on it. And then we did, and it was beautiful. We lit up the night. It was so colorful and it was beautiful. It's the perfect place to host something like this. So we'll do that all again Saturday. And then next week, we roll into Seafair Weekend Festival with the Apollo Mechanical Cup hydroplane races and then the Boeing Seafair Air Show. In addition, we have about 25 community events all throughout the region that we support, and Vicki's at many of them. And Jimmy mentioned I saw my first hydroplane when I was 12, so one of my new favorite Seafair memories happened just last week. This photo's from the Boys and Girls Club. The City of Bellevue is one of our newest sponsors, and they sponsored a junior hydro STEM program, and so we got to go out there and meet with 100 kids and introduce them to hydroplane racing. We had 7 boats with us, and kids got to climb in them. And then also, we have a summer music series that's still happening. So if you haven't gotten your fix of Seafair by the end of next week, come join us on a music cruise on Lake Union and Lake Washington. We have one on August 25th and one on September 15th. And everything we do this year, hopefully you'll see we do it with a lot of love. We introduced this grassroots campaign that King County Executive Zahalai kicked off for us at our kickoff event. But at our events, come write a love note. We're going to feature all the love notes that we collect at Pike Place Market in September, and it'll be a message of "With Love, Seattle," but a reminder of why our community is so amazing and why everyone should come visit. And a reminder, anyone can come volunteer. If you want more information, just head to seafair.org. And that is it. So sorry, I was thrown off because my slides are distorted. It is now my pleasure to bring up Vicki Hoyt. Vicki has a long, long history with Seafair and the parade marshals, but Vicki does so much more. And also, last year, Vicki was named Volunteer of the Year for the Washington Festivals and Events Association. So it's not just us who knows how much Vicki does, but it's known statewide. Vicki?
Well, that was totally embarrassing. I'm sorry. Hi, Carmen. How are you? Um, I'm sorry. I don't get to speak in public very often, so I'm really not that great at it. The Seafair Parade Marshals are basically as old as Seafair. It was just called the U.S. Army, and they called themselves Parade Marshals while they were producing the events for, I believe it was around 15, 18 years, something like that. But the very first year, the Colonel Wilson, I believe his name, from Fort Lawton, he always called them parade marshals. And so when the Army could not perform that function anymore, they did an all volunteer group and called it the Seafair Parade Marshals. And then we were brought into Seafair as one of the 5 families. So the marshals are people that work hard. They work in the background. They rarely like to stand and talk to people like this. We're the doers. We're the fire putter outers. We're the cop whisperers. I knew you'd laugh. We just try to put out the fires so that whatever community we go to can succeed and have a good event and a safe event. And we have been called upon to do the Seahawks Parade. We've done it twice now. We just did the FIFA parade for the Puyallup tribe in Tacoma. We've done several high-level events like that. If they're around this area, they call us and Seafair. So the marshals, we have probably, I would say, maybe 25 active marshals. We have different levels of membership. You can be a newer marshal, which is called a marshal in training, and then you become a regular marshal. And then if you work hard and succeed well and produce well, you become a master marshal. I am a master marshal. There's 3 in our organization, and I'm the first female master marshal. The parade marshals they're hard to explain what they do, because a lot of times it's just like, oh, there's a horse out of control. Go get it. Get it off the route. It's stuff like that. And you just can't really put into words how busy it keeps you. The other part that I wanted to tell you is that the parade marshals did not allow women into their organization until I believe it was 1980 something, the mid 80s sometime. And because the military, it was all men doing that. And so they kept it very military. And once they started letting women in, we started saying, no, we're not going to do that. And so, but anyway, we just have had 4 female chief marshals, and I was one of them. We had our first one was back in, oh gosh, it was probably the early 90s. Yeah, I think it was the early 90s. And then 3 more of them followed her. So that evolve every day and we adapt to the little fires that are revolving around us. And last year at Torchlight, we encountered some very odd problems. No, I'm not telling you. They were just very unusual problems. And so we dealt with it, and there was a couple things that were missing, and we took care of that. And it's just all about adapting and giving the community and the event the justice it deserves. So that's really all I have to say.
Okay, yeah, it's me, the embarrassed president. Apologies. Next time Mary Goldie tells you the traffic will be bad for today's meeting, please heed that warning from her, would you? And then plan on getting here an hour early, and you might make it in time. First of all, thank you. A lot of thank yous here. Cynthia Sherrote and Dave Obanek, Josh Lieberman for your greeting out here today earlier. Logan Riley, thank you for meeting reporting. Thank you so much. And let's see. Obviously, got to thank Jimmy Collins and Emily and Vicky. Thank you so much for being here today. I'd like to take one moment to welcome our guests that are in the audience. And so, okay, I'm just getting double, triple embarrassed up here today. I think I'll just crawl underneath that rug over there until my next time to come up here. Jan, thanks for bailing me out, as you always do so many times. I do want to take a moment, though, to welcome our guests. If you are a guest here today, could you please stand and let the rest of us welcome you to our club meeting? Thank you. Wow. We do love guests. Many times they become members. Okay, just want to mention that. Now, there's a guy you might not know, his past president. I'm going to introduce him to come up now and introduce our main speaker, Admiral Townsend. Ladies and gentlemen, your past president and really great introductor of a new member, Jimmy Collins.
For the record, past President John was my introducer in 2013 when I joined the club. And this was my fourth Rotary Club to come into. And I will say that I continue to be impressed that past presidents stay active in this club. And some of you I've told this, but I've been in a lot of nonprofit organizations, and often the president gets burned out, just because there's not many hands lifting the load. So, John, it's good. And we're glad to support you and appreciate you taking the gavel this year. So this is Fleet Week, and some people may think, well, that's part of Seafair. Seafair brings the Navy to town. Well, they're coincident, but they're not. Neither is the parent nor the child. They're both very important aspects of our community. And Fleet Week, for maritime communities like Seattle and New York and other places where the water is important, are proud to host the Navy once a year for the community to get reconnected to those who serve. Our speaker today is none other than Rear Admiral John Townsend. Admiral Townsend was born in Syracuse, New York. His education included the United States Naval Academy. His current portfolio includes Navy interests in 11 states in the Northwest, as far east as the Dakotas. And in fact, he mentioned to me earlier that he was invited to the dedication of the Teddy Roosevelt Presidential Library in a town of 140 that took place not long ago. He has no prior. For those of you that have had military orders yourself, you understand the three-letter acronym PCS. That means permanent change of station, which means they'll pack and ship your goods. You better be on the bus. So he had no prior PCS here, but he did have the responsibility helping move Navy aircraft in and out of Whidbey Island when the aircraft carrier or the flat top that they were aboard were going to be refitted on Whidbey Island. He's a fixed wing pilot himself. He flew P3s, as did my brother. When that was before Boeing sold the P8, which now is representing that anti-submarine warfare mission worldwide. He has a family. His wife and two daughters are in Virginia. He's told by his spousal unit that she will join him, as soon as the kids are both back in college. And so, John, please tell us a little about Fleet Week and other things that are important about our Navy.
Okay. Well, thank you, General, for the kind introduction, and good afternoon to everyone. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. I'll start out by saying that there is, without any doubt at all, no place that I would rather be than in this room with you all this afternoon, and I mean that very sincerely. You're a great bunch of folks, great mission. I am accompanied today by IS-2 Loner, who has chosen to come and join us for lunch. She is a Navy reservist, which in a sort of way I am as well. I'm an active duty or TAR officer, so I've spent the last 20 or so years of my career affiliated with the Navy Reserve. But she is employed with a legal firm in New Mexico. And her one of the lawyers or one of the principals in her firm is a Rotarian, so she wanted to be here and to join us as well. And also Lieutenant Sam Heidemann, who is my flag aide and my co-pilot as we navigate whatever it is we have to do, and a recent new father of a young son named Benjamin. So congrats to Sam as well. I do not have any slides, and I am okay if we take the creepy picture down. I don't know if anybody has control over that. But I am going to call an audible. I do have full end-to-end remarks here, but as I kind of have become acquainted with the room, I just want to share with you, some JT perspective, some of where I've been and what I've done and what this all means to me. And then, of course, a bit about Navy Region Northwest. I think the region commander is often on your invite list annually for this Seafair week. But I just want to make sure that I personalize this to share with you a little bit of personal perspective and, of course, what I do in my day job. So I have been in the Navy for 31 years. I am a product of, I did 1 year of Navy ROTC in a small school in New York State. And the ROTC unit was with Cornell University. Proud to say my daughter, my middle kid, is a Cornell University student. She'll be going back for her junior year here shortly. And my younger daughter is headed off to the University of Virginia to do Navy ROTC there, to be a Navy nurse, which I'm super proud of and excited for her. And we do have my firstborn child was a boy who joined his version of the Navy, and he works in the private yacht industry. And so there's that. College was not his thing. He wanted to get to work and get some salt on his brow. So that's what he's doing. But it has been almost exactly a year for me. And as we find more common, my confirmation to put on this rank was held up a bit and delayed a bit. And I was in command of NSA South Potomac, which is sort of a region within the Navy District Washington region. And so it was a very quick move for me to come out here. And I was wearing 06 when I flew out here. And a couple of days later, I was wearing 07 and trying to figure out how to do that. Because although I had spent 30 years in the Navy and I had very recently worked for a 3-star vice admiral there in the Pentagon, the chief of Navy Reserve, Vice Admiral John Mustin, who's a phenomenal human being and a phenomenal naval officer. And I thought I'd learned most of what the Navy had to offer until I started working for Vice Admiral Mustin, and I figured out I just needed to set a high pace and really just try to hang on for dear life. So I will share a little bit about that experience, and it does relate to the Navy Reserve and the transformation that we were undertaking there in the Pentagon in the current and modern era. But So let me get into some of the prepared remarks that is relevant to what we're doing here in Seattle this week. It's super exciting, and the energy level, not only for Seafair, but in this room as I came in today, was very impressive, and so amazing to be a part of it. So I'm happy to be here and to meet all of you and the rest of the Navy team in Seattle. Most of the Navy team right now is over at the ballpark to watch. Had an invite and some free tickets, I think, to go to the game. We went last night. We did not bring luck on your Mariners, unfortunately. And as I said in my remarks yesterday at the Seawall, I am an East Coast guy. I am a lifelong New England Patriots fan, which probably doesn't reside well with you. So I will say you're welcome. And I am happy for you, and I mean that. Um, so this year's Seafair for us and for the Navy, based on, again, world circumstances and our operational tempo for what's going on with our Navy, and I do mean our Navy because that's what it is, have reduced us. We have one Navy ship here. It's a littoral combat ship, the USS Cincinnati. I did get a sort of behind the scenes tour of it a little while ago today, and I had never been on an LCS. It's the tri-hull version. We have two variants of the littoral combat ship: the tri-hull, which is the Cincinnati, and then there's a mono-hull version, which is not as prolific as the tri-hull, but it is an amazingly agile ship designed for the littoral, which is the seam between the deep blue water and what we traditionally do with our Navy, and operating in the littoral, in the amphibious sort of environment, and very agile for modular plug and play mission. And so we're still trying to figure out what to do with that thing, but it is a great platform and it can support almost anything you can dream up. And that's really what we're in that phase. We're still trying to dream up what it is we're going to do with it. And so we're here. We have 2 days of ship visits planned, long days. We increased the number of hours that the ship is available, and so we're just going to pack a whole bunch into those 2 days and get as many folks as we can on board. And as you know, we've been participating in Seattle Seafair and Fleet Week since 1950. Fleet Week in Seattle is a traditional maritime celebration of the sea service. It's not just the Navy, but been standing alongside our Coast Guard, and the other ship that's here is a Coast Guard cutter. And it's a way for us in the Navy to give back, to strengthen relationships within the community that we serve, and to be interactive and engage in social events and community events like this one right here. My view has always been, in serving in the Navy in any capacity, whether it was part of a squadron where I would bring folks in and show them the aircraft, and put them in a simulator, give them a little bit of stick time and experience what it is that they pay for, whoever the they is. When I was in installation command, I had Naval Air Station in Fort Worth, Texas, and then I had NSA South Potomac there in DC along the Potomac River. Those are your bases. And my feeling is that you should have access to them. You should understand what's within the fence line in a reasonably secure way. And I've always viewed it that way and spent a good bit of effort trying to get folks on board to see what it is their Navy and the other branches of service are doing with the investment that you make in us. And I feel the same way as your regional commander here in the Northwest. We have, we contribute about $15 billion annually to the economy in and around the Puget Sound, and that is where our fleet concentration obviously is. I actually read an article this morning that Naval Base Kitsap, which is not just a base, but a number of installations, including Bremerton, where the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard is, and the Bangor base, where we hang our hats on a daily basis, the master submarine base on the West Coast, is the Navy's second largest installation, behind Norfolk Naval Station on the East Coast, and ahead of, notably and surprisingly, ahead of San Diego, which is a huge Navy town. But NBK, Navy Base Kitsap, is the second largest Navy base, U.S. Navy base in the world. Okay, so prior to Seafair Fleet Week, then President Theodore Roosevelt's Great White Fleet visited Seattle in May of 1908. And as Jimmy mentioned, I was just out in Medora, North Dakota, 2 weeks ago to open up the TR Presidential Library, and it was an amazing experience. And of course, I had about 2 days' notice for that duty to support that opening and the President Trump being there and all of the activities that were ongoing. And so I had to become the Theodore Roosevelt expert in about 48 hours. And what his impact upon our Navy and creation of the Great White Fleet, your first modern steel ship Navy that was capable of deploying globally, cannot be overstated. That is the Navy that we operate today, a blue water, globally deployed, continuously globally deployed Navy, and that is something that, as the Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Theodore Roosevelt was almost single-handedly responsible for making that a reality, and that is the legacy that we continue today, and that I undertake as your Navy Region Northwest Commander, in almost every way in terms of infrastructure, but notably, I would point out. And there was an article also this morning about the investment that we are making in the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, specifically in what we call M2D2, which is the multi-mission dry dock. This is a dry dock that will be capable of handling not only the Ford-class aircraft carrier, which is fairly significantly larger than the Nimitz class and all other classes of ships, but it will be able to handle any class of ships as we move forward. This is a project that will encompass or span about 10 to 12 years in its duration. And it is, to my knowledge and to my understanding, the single largest investment that the Department of War has ever undertaken. It in total adds up to about $25 billion in military construction. And I am in no way indicating that I am solely responsible for that, because I don't want that responsibility. But the role truly that I do have is to coordinate the stakeholders, the folks that are submitting budget submissions within the Pentagon for that size of investment across all of the communities, the weapons systems, the submarine community, the naval aviation masters of the world that have that vision, that continue the vision that Theodore Roosevelt started in terms of our ability to be forward deployed and to answer the call when the call comes. And so it just gives you hopefully a pretty clear picture of what is going on just across the Sound there in Bremerton specifically. In addition to that, the Naval Station Bangor, the ballistic missile submarine base, that is where I said we spend most of our days in the office, is also undertaking in the next 5 to 10 years a complete revamp of the water space there that's largely on the Hood Canal side in order to accommodate the Columbia-class submarine, which is coming, and the associated support packages, weapon systems, and training that go along with it. And that investment is also in the multi-billion-dollar range and is a significant undertaking. My role specifically is to coordinate across all of the stakeholders and to ensure that we are properly resourced to move forward with the projects, to work with our tribal partners, with our sister federal agencies, the National Marine Fisheries, Fish and Wildlife, and all of the environmental agencies that control making sure that this work is completed in a compatible way with the environment, with the folks that also cohabitate and live around the Puget Sound. And as we have these conversations, and as I ponder how our standards for the U.S. Navy compare to the standards that are existing out in commercial sector for development of all kinds, I can assure you with confidence that we set a very high standard for environmental compatibility and doing the right thing and being the good stewards. So I'm proud to say that. Okay, so Navy Nation 250. This has been a big year for us in the Navy and for us as a nation. Speaking of connecting Americans to history and Theodore Roosevelt, I'm speaking on the heels of a major milestone, as we all know, our nation's 250th birthday. This past 4th of July, our nation celebrated a quarter of a millennium since the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776. And as we continue to celebrate, we'll reflect on our 250-year-long experiment as a country, one that was built on democracy and the idea that we'll have the right to liberty, justice, and the pursuit of happiness. As many of you know, and as I've mentioned before, there was a United States of America, there was a United States Navy. On October 13th of 1775, the Continental Congress authorized the outfitting of 2 sailing vessels to intercept British transports. And from those 2 ships, an armed schooner and a sloop, our Navy was born. The Continental Navy was established to fight for the very freedoms that would be declared the following July. These 2 milestones, the 250th birthday of our Navy and the 250th birthday of our nation, are forever linked. We cannot have a free and prosperous America without a strong and capable armed force to defend it. And we cannot have this global force without the enduring support of the American people behind it. Folks like you right here in this room doing exactly what we are all doing together. The spirit and the support is exactly what we need here in Seattle, because as you all understand very well, America is a maritime nation. At the heart of America's story is the sea and the American sailor who safeguards our independence. For 250 years, the U.S. Navy has operated with allies and partners to protect the homeland, preserve the freedom of navigation, secure the sea lanes, and trade and project our nation's power forward. American freedom and independence were won on the waves, and it is maintained today by the most capable fleet in our history. Today, the security of maritime trade routes remains vital to our global economy, not just for the United States, but for the seafaring nations. So in an increasingly globalized world, America's success is even more reliant on the Navy. Just a quick overview for you for Navy Region Northwest. I've done a little bit of it already with talking about the work that we are undertaking on the waterfront over in Bremerton and Bangor. But I'll give you a quick overview here. We've got 11 states, as the general mentioned, across the greater Puget Sound, and we are home to 4 major installations and the Navy's 3rd largest overall fleet concentration area. Northwest is home to approximately 25,000 active duty service members, 3,600 reservists, and 20,100 civilian employees that support the Navy mission and work directly for us, as well as more than 2,400 contractors and 42,000 military service family members. Each year, we contribute approximately $15 billion into the local economy and feel blessed to live and work in such a beautiful place. Examples of how federal funds are infused into your communities. Additional examples from what I mentioned. And last fall, we learned that 2 of our local community partners were selected to receive federal grants through the Defense Community Infrastructure Program, DCIP, which provides federal funds to the community infrastructure enhancement projects that also benefit military personnel and improve installation readiness. The city of Everett was selected for a federal grant to construct a police boathouse facility, which would also support waterfront security around Naval Station Everett. And Kitsap County Public Works was selected for a federal grant to build facilities to treat wastewater, which will ultimately help the Navy as we work to modernize our Naval Base Kitsap infrastructure and to ensure that we support the fleet of the future, including possible future home-ported ships like the Ford-class aircraft carrier that I talked about, as well as the USS John F. Kennedy and the Columbia-class of submarines that is coming. Our operational units across the region include 1 aircraft carrier, currently home ported in the region. That is the USS Ronald Reagan. And we floated Reagan about 2 months ago at this point. Seems to be holding water and floating, so we're doing well with that. As many of you probably know, the USS Nimitz departed our AOR a couple of months ago, made a long sail around South America, and is currently and safely back in Norfolk, Virginia, where they'll map out her final days and her ultimate decommissioning. We're all familiar with the NAS Whidbey Island, where we have EA-18 Growler aircraft, the same basic airframe that you'll see with the Blue Angels flying the F-18s. And of course, the P-8 Poseidon, which took over from the mighty P-3 Orion that I was able to fly everywhere. 13 submarines, 8 surface ships, and I think that I will stop there. I have made the majority of my point. I would like to make just one final point, special opportunity. So a number of years ago when I was in Fort Worth, Texas, I was at an event that was supporting the efforts to bring in, to build a National Medal of Honor museum. And Arlington, Texas was bidding to be the home to that museum, and it is currently the home to that museum. And a gentleman was speaking at the event. He was a retired Master Chief named Britt Sablinski, Medal of Honor winner, recipient, I should say. And he is currently the president of the National Medal of Honor Foundation. And I saw Britt in North Dakota 2 weeks ago at the opening. And what he said on that day was, if you look at this, our symbol of national freedom and what we serve for. And you think about it just a little bit, you know, it has 3 colors, red, white, and blue. They all have a meaning. We're all pretty familiar with the construct of the flag. But when you think about it on a different level, the actual strength of this flag are the individual threads that are used to bind it together, to hold it together. And the way Britt, Master Chief Sablinski, thinks about it, who is a national hero and is certainly a hero to me, and the way that I have come to think about it and like to think about it is those of us in this room right here doing what we do, being part of the greater good, are those individual threads that really determine the strength of this flag. So I will end on that note and thank you all for what you do. And I think happy to take any questions if there are.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you so much, Rear Admiral Townsend. Yes, we do have a few questions here.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm Dorothy Bullitt, the daughter of a naval veteran who was involved in the invasion of Leyte in World War II. Proud of his service. I'm interested in what's going on within the Pacific Fleet to prepare to be ready in case of an invasion of Taiwan in light of the reduction in munitions that is occurring in the area around Iran right now.
Mm-hmm.
And is the Pacific Fleet still ready? And is there planning going on to make it ready? Should there be an invasion of the China in China Sea?
Got it. Well, I appreciate the question. I will defer it to Admiral Webb Kaler, who is the Pacific Fleet Commander, in terms of the readiness of Pacific Fleet. No, but in all seriousness, I do appreciate the question, and I will tell you, and I'll go back to what I had offered before, which is as a member of broadly of the Navy Reserve, that was the capacity I went into the Pentagon. And this was now 6 years ago, to be the direct support to Vice Admiral Mustin that I mentioned, right? And I am going toward answering your question with this. The goal that Vice Admiral Mustin set for the Navy Reserve and the discussions that we were having was transformation. And that transformation was intended to get the Navy Reserve, as one case study, back into the maritime domain. Because the Navy Reserve had been fighting post 9/11, had been fighting, doing boots on the ground work, not something the Navy Reserve really was designed to do. And so his goal was to get us back into the maritime domain and to prepare for the potential for conflict with China. And the reason that I use that example is because what it bought me was a ticket to be the plus one, the note taker, in the room with the 3-star DCNOs, Deputy Chiefs of Naval Operation, and with the 4-star level, to hear the conversations about preparedness for the potential for conflict with China and what we call the Davidson window. And that results from Admiral Davidson, who had surmised that our timing for potential or likely conflict with China in the Pacific was within 12 months of right now. And so the conversations were centered around exactly what you're asking. How are we doing in terms of preparation, and how well postured is the Navy to meet the competition and the modern conventional Navy that China is building? And they have been building at a rapid pace, as we know. And the number of ships rivals the number of ships that we're able to deploy, and the carrier aviation capabilities have been a metric that we're comparing ours to. And so arriving at an answer to your question, I would refer you to a 60 Minutes bit that Admiral Paparo, who was the Pacific Fleet commander, did. And this was just over a year ago. And he answered that exact question with a bit of a mixed sentiment, generally positive. The Navy is doing great, and we are up to the task at hand. To the question about expenditure of munitions in the current environment, I will absolutely have to defer that question because one, I simply don't know. I don't keep my finger on the pulse of how we're moving munitions onto our platforms to meet current demands, and then how that compares to the inventory required for a potential. But I'll end on the note that I'm very confident our leadership is properly focused on not only what we're doing with the fleet and preparing for that, but also the significant investment that is being made on the munitions side for the threat as we assess it.
Good.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for being here. My name is Jan Levy. As a fairly new transplant, you've been here about a year.
Yeah.
What's been your biggest leadership challenge, and what has surprised you the most?
Okay, Sam has been my biggest leadership challenge. Just kidding. I can handle that one. I've been around long enough to handle the lieutenant. My biggest leadership challenge has been my strength as a leader individually, and you'll get my answer because you invited me to be here. My biggest strength, as I understand it, is emotional intelligence. It's building teams capable of handling the problem sets. So not all leaders are the same. And my predecessor, I think, was very programmed to execute doctrine and to stick with letter of the law. And he was in the details. He was far smarter than I am. So what I focus on is building teams capable of solving problems. I'm a decentralized leader, and so I want to empower all the members of our team to get after their individual responsibilities to collectively solve the problems. So the challenge that we have in the shore infrastructure, in the job that I do, is two things. One, being under-resourced on day one, typically, historically, and two, the resourcing that we do expect that we have received on our top line changes. And it changes for reasons that are somewhat unpredictable. And the longer you've been around, it becomes more predictable. But as we all know, we've been engaged in some pretty decisive combat actions. And oftentimes what happens with the shore infrastructure and the world that I live in is we become the bill payer for operational bills. While we anticipate funds authorized by Congress to pay the bills that are due based on our operations, in the meantime, my world, the shore infrastructure and the shore community has become the bill payer for bills that we didn't anticipate. So that is the challenge. The chief of naval operations he travels the world and he talks about where his head is and what he sees are the challenges. And he has told us all, and he means it, that we need to stop using the shore to pay for those types of bills. We need to invest more in our infrastructure because everything that we do in the Navy comes from the foundry. The shore is the foundry. Every mission begins from the shore, from the installations that are in your region. And so to underinvest or to change the intended investment is the challenge that we face. On the positive side, what we must do in that environment is to partner with with third-party agencies and bring in public-private ventures, work with the Port of Seattle where we have overlap, work with private shipyards like Vigor, like we do here in the Puget Sound, and to be smart with executing, the trusted dollars that we have. And that is the theme. That is the direction that we're moving, is to do partnerships. Everything from the hotels that we operate on the bases, that we refer to as barracks, where our sailors are living. We're bringing in privatized housing to manage because they're the pros, right? They're the ones that do that. And they're good at it, and we can have oversight of that, and we can improve our efficiency and get after the challenges in the modern environment. So those are the challenges that I face, and that's been the hill I'm climbing. So say it again. Oh, the biggest surprise. Let's see. I would say this may be too broad of an answer, but the biggest surprise, honestly, for me, as I tried to describe to you, was Navy Region Northwest is a quiet region. In my world, and I've got a 3-star boss in Washington at the Washington Navy Yard. Love the guy, and I mean it. And he was a former region commander in Region Northwest for a short period of time. The biggest surprise is that Navy Region Northwest is viewed as a small region because it's fairly quiet out here, and the professionals that I work alongside get after it in a humble and quiet manner. Navy Region Northwest has got more than $25 billion worth of MILCON on the books right now, and has more investment than any other region on the planet. And so that's the biggest surprise, was what they have entrusted me to be part of. And I am trying to, my damnedest to meet expectations and to continue to operate humbly, but to fully comprehend the investment that you all are making in this region, that we as a nation are making in this region. That's the surprise.
Rear Admiral Townsend, thank you so much.
Not done with you yet.
Got a few.
Hey.
Thanks for your service.
Rear Admiral Townsend, I have a couple thank yous for you. First, I want to say thank you to you, your guests, the rest of your staff, and all the members of the service. You said it very well at the end of your presentation. Thank you for protecting our flag, and thank you for protecting democracy for our country. Thank you. Now, as a second thank you for being here today and your participation, our club foundation, the Seattle Rotary Service Foundation, has provided 600 healthy meals for those in need through Harvest Against Hunger in your name. Thank you. And you are dying. Yeah. He was so nice. He was trying to get off the stage. I went, no, I got some stuff I want to talk to you about. Yeah, it's funny. We mentioned all those bases out there. I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to visit some of the bases. I doubt very many, except maybe Carl Weiss has been to Bangor. Oh, have you? Good for you. Good for you. I've been an avid boater. And I remember the first time I had a boat, it's 29 foot, and I took it out with my wife, went cruising. I looked at the chart and I said, hey, honey, there's Bangor. And so I turned my bow full throttle straight towards Bangor. And all of a sudden, this little gray inflatable with a machine gun in the front of it came straight at me. And I didn't even think. All I heard was my wife screaming and yelling at me, idiot, idiot. And I turned the boat That was my understanding of Bangor. And yeah, never went near that base again. I know. Okay, I've got 1 minute here, so let's see. I have a couple more thank yous. I just want to make sure we thank everybody today. Oh, hey, Harvest Against Hunger and REB Enterprises. What would we do, Carl, without you? Thank you. Bless your heart. You are a role model for all of us as Rotarians. At the conclusion of the meeting today, I also want to mention that we're going to invite up here two very special guests that are here, two of our fellow Rotary members from Bangladesh. We're going to do a flag exchange. This is a time-honored Rotarian tradition, and we will do it right at the conclusion. But thank you for being here today. Both you and your daughter, I think. Yeah. Or wife. Wife or daughter. Yeah, I can't go wrong with that statement, can I? Okay, finally, I want to thank Seafair, all of your employees, all of your representatives. Thank you for the great memories you give each and every one of us. You saw your first hydroplane at 12, I was 6. And I remember all those wonderful memories of Seafair as I got older and went through all the different stages of life. But I want to really thank you because you emulate what we stand for. You also have provided your commitment to our community. When people come out of their homes and they engage in your Seafair activities, we become a stronger community. And as a stronger community, we become a stronger Seattle, a stronger Washington. Just cannot thank you because both of us are committed to community. And with that, we are adjourned. And we'll do the flag exchange now. I just have to ring the bell at 1:30 or I get in trouble. I also get in trouble if I'm late. And I think, Mary, you're going to come up and take a couple pictures?